The Loaded Radio in your face podcast.
All right, hey, what's up? It is Scott Penfold, and this is the Loaded Radio podcast. And man, a great one this week. Is good to be joined by the one and only Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills. Yes, that horror-themed heavy metal band that is just ripping it up right now. Now, Ice Nine Kills have a new live album out. It's called I Heard They Kill Live, which came out last month via Fearless Records. It's 19 songs long and was recorded live at the band's sold-out hometown show at the Worcester Palladium on November 30th, 2019. And Spencer joining us on the phone right now. Spencer, how you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
I'm great, man. I really dig the band. I dig the whole horror theme and the whole metal and horror mixture. It's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now, you guys have been described as everything from theatercore to metalcore to melodic hardcore to post-hardcore, symphonic metal. I mean, do you dig the subgenre thing, and do you feel that the band falls into one of those categories?
Yeah, for me, it's always funny to hear, how different people classify different bands and categorize us. But I try not to think about the labels too much. It's just music, and I think maybe back in the day, starting out, I was very, concerned about where will we fall? Are we pop punk? Are we ska? Are we screamo? But I think when you get too bogged down in that, you might let it dictate what kind of music you write. So I kind of try to blur the lines and really have nothing off the table in terms of what direction to take a certain part in the song. We have stuff that's can be very heavy, or it could be like a Broadway musical, and I think we by not having really boundaries, it can be a lot of fun.
I completely agree. I mean, is horrorcore a genre? Now, your last album, Silver Scream, was killer. Never mind the pun, but is every song on the album related to a specific horror movie? How did that whole concept come about?
It really all started from the album prior, and I had this idea to do a song about Jekyll and Hyde.
Every Trick in the Book.
Exactly, yeah. And before Every Trick in the Book, we had released Me, Myself, and Hyde as a single. And it was the first song that I ever wrote that was, based on something specific in terms of like literature or film or any sort of story that didn't come from me or from someone else's experience in the band. And it just seemed to really resonate with people. And it was a really fun, rewarding process to write the song. So when it came to time to do the next record for Every Trick in the Book, I thought, let's just go with this. Let's do every song about a different book. And it made the creation process that much more rewarding and sort of like this new exciting thing, like we were kind of discovering our thing. And it worked really well, and it was clear that movies were the next go-to, and that's how I arrived on it.
Now, is this going to be like a recurring theme? Is the next album going to be a similar direction or concept?
I don't want to give too much away because I like to keep some sort of mystique around what we do to that. In true horror fashion, people want a sequel, so we'll see where it goes.
Hey, people dig trilogies, man.
Right.
By the way, just got to say, Jason's Mom is a great track. Big Friday the 13th fan, man. I just thought it was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun to put together. And when I came up with the concept of it, it then dawned on me that, oh my God, in 3 weeks is Mother's Day. This is kind of one of those kind of right place, right time idea. And that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, Pamela Voorhees doesn't get enough credit, right?
She's the best.
Now, looking back at Live from the Overlook Hotel, that was a very cool concept for an EP. Got anything similar to that in the works right now?
I think that we kind of always keep our options open for what kind of releases we do, but we definitely have something brewing in the release world. Not an EP, but something even cooler that should be coming out very soon.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. Now, looking at the history of the band, it was you and Jeremy that started the band back in 2002. You are now the sole original member. Is the band still a collective effort to you, or is it like, you running things with a bunch of hired guns?
No, the band is in a really great place creatively. This lineup that we put together has been together for the most part for almost, I would say, 2 years. And everyone's just very creative, and it's a very relaxed working environment, especially given so much time with with the pandemic happening and us not touring, we're constantly working on new ideas, and we set aside at least 3 days a week, every week, to go into our studio. And it's just a really fun way of making a living, I guess. You're excited to go to work. Every once in a while you get caught down in okay, we couldn't figure out how to make this particular song work, but once you get to the finish line, it's such a cool process. And the guys that I started the band with, like you mentioned, Jeremy's still a very good friend of mine. He actually performed and wrote some material on the last album. He comes up and sings with us. Last time we played in LA, he joined us on stage. So it's a big family.
And looking at the arc of the band, starting off as a very ska-punk and developing into this horrorcore type of band, as we mentioned earlier. I mean, it's been quite the evolvement for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really cool to and still infuse those elements. And like recently, I've been working on doing some material with John Feldmann, who, the singer of Goldfinger, one of my bands. One of the reasons that we started a band, and that's sort of another full circle moment, working with someone like that, who inspired me in the punk world, but now to be working on this kind of music with him is really cool.
Speaking of fusion, why do you think there's such a strong correlation between horror and metal?
I think that they're just naturally these subculture movements of people that don't necessarily like normal things or the stuff that is sort of pushed in a more mainstream fashion. It's that against the grain kind of culture that I think attracts similar like-minded people who I find to be, contrary to a lot of public opinion, very sophisticated in their tastes. I think that there's just kind of a match made in hell, so to speak.
And it really shows in the videos you guys release. I mean, especially for the last album. I mean, how they tell a story. Any chance for anything more like that, or even possibly a full-scale movie of some sort in the future? Like a full production, a full feature film?
Definitely, yeah. I always, going forward, definitely want to kind of treat the band almost like it's like a film and be able to kind of blur the lines between music and motion picture and create that kind of world around our band and tell some interesting stories that don't just involve already known horror films, but sort of like we started to do with the last album and the videos you mentioned, creating our own story within and revolving around those other worlds.
Thanks so much for taking the time, Spencer. Been great talking to you here on the Loaded Radio podcast, man.
No problem, man. Thanks a lot.
Now, the name of the new live album is I Heard They Kill Live, and it's available now. A 19-song set recorded live at the band's sold-out home show from the Octane Accelerator Tour. Now, don't forget, check out loadedradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news daily, and as well, the 24-hour stream. Yes, the radio station that's got nothing but the best hard rock and metal, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's all right there for you at loadedradio.com. I'm Scott Penfold, and we'll talk to you again soon right here on the Loaded Radio podcast.
Loaded Radio.